There is plenty more free stuff coming over to Microsoft Flight Sim on PC and Xbox with their 40th anniversary update. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the update we've had with the 40th anniversary update, which includes 3 new planes coming over to Microsoft Flight Sim on both PC and Xbox for free. I'll be talking about it today, giving you all the info you need to know. But before we get right into it, a message from today's sponsor. From the mountains of Scotland to the River Hudson, Las Vegas to southern England, FSAcademy's new mission pack Navigator takes you everywhere, teaching you fundamental flying skills as you go along. From night flying to overwater operations, 11 flight lessons culminate in a skills test that allows you to fly over beautiful Scotland in a little Cessna for a total of 3 hours, although you do get to break it up, with highly detailed charts, instructions and a manual all being included. FSAcademy makes mission packs for almost every type of flying. Check them out on the marketplace today or visit their website below. So a big thank you to FSAcademy for sponsoring the channel throughout August. I really do like their products. Of course I've used them before, so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to them. It hasn't just been some blank old sponsor for money, because it's a product I can really get behind. But now, with the main focus of this video. So we have an update on the 40th anniversary update. Of course, I've been updating you on this update for months now. Since it's been announced really, I'll stop saying update. But yes, Asobo have released some more information about it. First off, it's coming on November the 11th. We've known for some time that it would be coming in November, but we've now got a set date. Hopefully it won't move away from this, but you never know. With Asobo, it might do. We've got a trailer, which I've been showing you on the screen throughout the start of this video, and you can see some of the aircraft we've known about for some time. We've known about 9 of these aircraft coming along, so plus 3, and you've got 12 free aircraft coming to a flight simulator. Well, except for the launch of them, that's never really been done before, so it's very exciting times. So let's get right into them. We'll be getting the Grumman G21A Goose by Builds and the Curtiss JN4 Jenny by Builds, as well as the Hughes H-4 Hercules Spruce Goose by Asobo by the looks of it at the moment. Let me just go into what these aircraft are, because they are sort of all slightly older and most of you may not have heard about them. One of them is very old, World War I level, so if you haven't read into your historical aviation you might be unaware to what they are. The Grumman Goose is probably the most common one on the list. If you're on FSX you would remember one. It was in there, it wasn't very good, but it was still fun to fly. This is the world's first purpose-built luxury aircraft. Now I understand it may be no citation, but it certainly is relatively luxurious in the back, for an aircraft of its time anyway. Of course it has the capability, the major capability, to be able to land on water, which is pretty cool. Developed in the 1930s, it'll be really awesome to see the Goose back in Microsoft Flight Sim. If you're on FSX and you enjoyed it, then you'll be pretty well acquainted with this aircraft. Moving over to the second Builds or Simulations aircraft, we've got the Curtiss JN4 Jenny, which was originally a World War I trainer aircraft used by the USA and Britain, I do believe. It was hugely important to the fundamentals of establishing general aviation as a sort of community, especially in America. Now the Curtiss after the war was basically picked up by sort of pioneers of aviation who would do this thing called barnstorming, which is basically flying aircraft, in this case the JN4, across America, performing death-defying stunts, having wing walkers walk over their plane, that sort of thing, to basically show off their planes to get them sold. Now this was sort of the world's first proper general aviation community, so it's actually a really historically significant aircraft. I hope you enjoyed that little history lesson there. You can read more about it with a link in the description. There's some pretty cool articles on it. Now one thing that sets the Curtiss apart from other historical aircraft in Microsoft Flight Sim is of course that Builds are making it so every single intricate cable that moves on this aircraft would move and will be visible like how it would be in real life. So basically, because there's no rubber covers over it, meaning you wouldn't see see it, you're going to see an aircraft that feels really alive. Personally, I cannot wait to see it. Now moving on to the final aircraft that's been sort of announced in this trailer, it is the Hughes H-4 Hercules Spruce Goose. This is a massive aircraft. At the time, I believe it was destined to be the biggest aircraft in the world. I don't know if it ever actually got there because it didn't fly for very long. So I don't know whether or not they counted it or not, but it was certainly built to be big. Only one was built, and that was a prototype, and it's a strategic airlift flying boat. It was originally designed for World War II to basically ship cargo over from America to Great Britain in the midst of the war, but it didn't fly until the 2nd of November 1947, and it had an incredibly long flight life, retiring on the 2nd of November 1947. So of course it only flew once, didn't really last despite all the money that was poured into it, and if you search it up online, I'm sure you can have fun reading over the Senate's scrutiny of the Hughes Company and the Pentagon. I'm sure there's a conspiracy theory to be found somewhere. It'll be certainly interesting to see a massive flying boat in Microsoft Flight Sim. One that did fly, although not for very long. Certainly a very unique aircraft. I can't wait for all three of them. They're all very unique, all very fitting for the 40th anniversary update. I see what SATA are doing. They're certainly going for historically important aircraft to basically reflect how important Microsoft Flight Sim has not only been in flight simulation or gaming for that matter, but in terms of aviation as well. I do think people sort of misunderstand the importance of flight simulation because of course in many ways it has changed aviation for the better, whether it be from a safety aspect, an accessibility aspect, anything like that. So 40 years of a franchise is just really something that should be celebrated, and rightfully so. Aside from these three new aircraft, which are coming on top of the other ones we've spoken about in other videos, SATA have said that we'll get 4 Classic Airfields also coming to PC and Xbox for free. One of them we know about, it's Chicago's Meigs Field. Now you may have heard about this one before. It basically used as the default airport for many flight simulators in the franchise. At times I'm sure it was the only place you could really fly around, properly anyway. And it was a really important airport in terms of general aviation in America before some mayor decided it would be good fun to break it up in the middle of the night, despite the fact there were planes actually at the airport at the time. So I believe the corporate pilot dad, who I was speaking to about this, did tell me that they actually had to take off the planes from the taxiway. A very sad, a very big loss for general aviation in America, and it'll be nice to see it in Microsoft Flight Sim again. What about the other 3 airfields? Well, I've got some guesses. They're probably incorrect, but I think we'll get maybe FSX's Friday Harbour, which of course is an airport that was used as the default starting location on Flight Sim X. Maybe St. Martin, Princess Juliana Airport as well, in terms of Flight Simulator X, but I'm sure there's some other more important ones. I'd like to see Croydon Airport, bearing in mind it was sort of the first purpose-built airport used for international use in the UK, although there was one before, but that was basically a patch of grass. Croydon was really important to London's aviation scene in the first half of the 20th century, so it is very important in terms of historical aviation across the world. We've also got some other bits to talk about. For example, with gliders in the trailer, you can see tow planes and people walking with the wing, which of course you have to do with gliders when not on the ground, because funnily enough they're not powered, or at least most of them aren't, so someone's got to pull them. We already know about helicopters, so I'm not really going to talk about them, but to wrap it up, we'll also be getting 20 nostalgic missions. If you're on Flight Sim X, you might remember the engineless landing into Malé in the Maldives. I remember doing that. That was sort of the first proper Flight Sim X experience I had. It was the first thing I did, I think. 20 nostalgic missions, I'm sure they'll fill it up. We don't get too much information there, but it's been an awesome update on an update nonetheless. From me today, that is all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. It really does help me out. From me today, that is all. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.